How much Urushi lacquer do you need? You often ask me, how much lacquer should you buy? What tubes? Is 50 milliliters enough? How much lacquer do I have? Let's talk about it. When I first bought Urushi, I bought 3 or 4 tubes. I think it was like 50 milliliters each. And I maybe used to the end one of them. One got spoiled, the other one was broken, and fourth one, maybe I used a half of it before it started to solidify in the tube. So storing the lacquer and deciding how much lacquer you need and how to take care of it is pretty important thing if you don't want to lose a lot of money. I have a lot of lacquer. I started with those 200 milliliters. Right now I have around 5 kilograms of lacquer in 50 different types and numerous different containers. I work mostly on small objects, but with a very wide range of techniques. So I do not need a lot of one type of lacquer, but a lot of different types of lacquers. That's why I mostly buy lacquer in 50 to 100 milliliter tubes. You can see here just a very small part of my collection, and as you can see, I also store lacquer in the drawers next to my desk and in a special regulated fridge. I set it to 8 to 10 degrees centigrade, and I control the temperature and humidity in the fridge too. And another container, another box of containers in the far part of my studio with controlled temperature, slightly below the temperature of the studio itself. It's around between 15 and 18 degrees centigrade. Let's clean it up and let's talk about buying, storing and taking care of lacquer. Typically, you will buy lacquer in the tube. It will come in a carton box, and inside there will be some kind of a aluminum tube with a cup. And this cup is usually the most problematic part of using and storing Urushi, because it can break easily in some cases. Those flat cups break very easily. It can get stuck. So I always advise to buy Urushi in tubes which are adequate to your usage. And if you don't know how much lacquer you will use and you cannot confirm it with someone more experienced, just buy the smaller tube, like 30 or even 15 milliliters, because they sell lacquer in 15 milliliters tubes too. My first lacquer I bought in Europe, as far as I remember, it was dictum.com, it's a German shop, but it was extremely expensive because of the margins and intermediaries. And right now I buy lacquer mostly from Japan, and I will make a video on sources of my lacquer and my suppliers. But I still buy lacquer mostly in tubes. Another type of container which is very useful for larger amounts of lacquer are such pouches. This is a pouch of raw lacquer, mostly for base work or for mixing into mixes like Mugi Urushi, or for Shitaji and mixing with clay, and for kintsugi work. Generally for groundwork, strong lacquer, this type of lacquer in half a liter or a liter pouch is a much more cost-efficient way of buying lacquer, provided you will use it. And such types of lacquer I usually keep in the refrigerator because they get spoiled the fastest. So large containers of raw lacquer, which never gets heated, are easily spoiled. They can even spoil from contamination, and in 3 months they can start smelling funky, even more funkier and unpleasant than usual. Another type of lacquer I like to have in such pouches is lacquer with additives, like this color lacquer here. It's already mixed. I mixed some types of colors. I mix myself. I sometimes buy different types, especially unusual colors of lacquer. already mixed, but I prefer to have them in pouches because I can mix them inside the pouch. The colors tend to separate, and pigment separates from lacquer, and the first stage of mixing it back is done in the pouch. You can just work it in back and mix it with the lacquer. Same applies to lacquers, which easily separate by itself even if they do not have any additives. Some types of raw lacquer, this one is a special type of lacquer for Fuki Urushi, which has very nice property. It does not darken the wood so much as typical Fuki Urushi lacquers. It's much brighter in comparison, for example, with this type of lacquer. But it separates in like 2 weeks. It can completely separate into separate layers. You can even see there is some different color here, more transparent lacquer. You can also mix it in the pouch before squeezing it out, and this is very convenient. You can't do it in the tube. The lacquer can separate in the tube, and if you see the sign of separation, squeeze it out, mix it, and transfer to another tube or another container. Talking about other tubes. Empty aluminum tubes. If you can buy them somewhere, there are sometimes on Amazon, but I buy mine from a culinary supplies shops too. Different sizes, 10 milliliters, 15 milliliters, 7 milliliters, 30 milliliters. Great for transferring separated lacquer, or great for transferring from larger tubes to smaller ones for general basic use on everyday use. But also great for preparing your own mixes and keeping them in the tube, or preparing colored lacquer and keeping them in your own tube. You just put the lacquer in, make sure it goes down put the lacquer in from the back, you make sure it goes down and pushes all the air out. You squeeze, flatten this part, fold it several times, and you have your own tube of lacquer. Another way of storing lacquer is using Saran foil. This one is Saragold, it's a brand, but I use this type of Saran foil. Initially, I bought Saran in Japan, but finally I found a supplier in Europe. I know nothing about availability in the United States. Typical culinary foil is not airtight. It just looks airtight, but it's not. It lets the oxygen through, and lacquer wrapped in this foil still cures. But this type of foil, you have to check it if it's the right type of foil. I don't know the exact chemical composition, but this one does not allow the oxygen to go through, and it stops the polymerization of lacquer. And you can store small amounts of lacquer wrapped in this foil and clipped with some pliers like this or clips like this for 2 or 3 weeks easily, and just not waste a small amount of lacquer. Another function of this foil is wrapping the brushes and preventing them from curing the traces amount of lacquers in the brush. I told you about the tubes and the stuck cups of the tubes. If you do not want to fight with it too much, buy the pliers like this with regulated opening here, which allows you not to crush the cup, and use it to grip the cup firmly and to open the tube. Much safer and much easier than just doing it with your fingers. Great tool. Normally used for pipes, I think. This one is from Knipex. It's a German company, I think. Yeah, it's German. And this is the smallest model. I think they are generally called Cobra pliers because of the shape, but I think you can find it anywhere. That's it, more or less. In the next video, I will talk about testing lacquer, because I told you about that the lacquer can go bad, can get spoiled or can get less effective, and it can cure slower or not cure at all. And to know if the lacquer is still good, you have to test it. But also you should test every new lacquer you get in your studio or for your work. Even if you buy the same lacquer from the same supplier, it can differ from the previous batch. But this is a topic for the next video. Your guests of Tamenuri Studio, I'm Michael, and I hope to see you soon.